I feel that a lot of us can let fear hold us back and from living the life that we really want. The fear of the unknown, the fear of uncertainty, what's going to happen. It's the fear of rejection and what other people might think. To the point we let fear control us, stop us doing the things that will help progress us in life. And I feel like living this way, it's not living, it's suffering, it's surviving. And I don't feel like life should be about suffering. We should be thriving in life and enjoying life. And I put my hands up. I've let fear hold me back from so many things in the past. I let fear stop me from leaving that relationship that was toxic, but I was scared that I may not find anyone else better. I let fear control me, and I stayed in living situations with people that I was not happy with because I was scared about leaving and living on my own. I let fear control me in my work situations when I didn't stand up, when I was getting bullied and mistreated, because I was scared that how people will see me. They may not see me as the nice girl anymore. So I feel like fear is something that can really hold us back if we let this one thing control our lives. So what is fear and why do we have it? So fear is something that will always be there. It's something that is instilled within us and we need it to protect us. So for example, if we're in an environment at nighttime, let's say, and it's not safe, we need that fear response on so that we can be alerted when we need to protect ourselves and run fast or do something to make sure that we are safe. Evolutionary speaking, humans needed fear a lot more than they do now, because at one point, humans were not at the top of the predator list like they are today. So they needed fear a lot more then to protect themselves from other predators, to be safe from environments. But we don't need it as much now because we live in a much more safer environment now. Well, a lot of us do anyway. The other way that some of us may have more fear in us than others is because of the way we were brought up. Perhaps some of us may have had problematic childhood traumas. For example, I was brought up in a very strict environment where there was quite a few rules to follow, and if I didn't follow these rules, I was punished, there was discipline. So that meant that I was scared stepping out of the line and doing something wrong because I didn't want to get punished. And also in a school and education setting, we're usually taught to follow the rules, to make sure things are handed in time. So, and if they wasn't, then that means there was after school detention, and there was also consequences of not following the instructions of the education system. Of course, we need them at times so that we can learn to get things done, and we need that kind of productivity system built in us so that it can help us to do things. But at the same time, this kind of setting can make us feel that we should be always in our fear mode. So growing up, because I had a lot of fear instilled in me, it meant that it took me time to take risks, or I would hold back from doing anything because I was scared. I was scared about going to a university that was in another city because I was scared that what would happen, I would be alone. So I stayed in a university within my city, which meant that deprived me from an experience that could have been life-changing. I'm very grateful for where I am now, but we have to understand how fear can impact all of us in many different ways. There was one time where I wanted to do a makeup artist course, but I let the fear of failing stop me, because even if I failed, it didn't matter. that skill could have led me to somewhere else, but I didn't do it in the end. So this is how fear, if we don't address it, it can hold us back from going after the opportunities that can help us grow, develop, and become the person that we want to be. So how do we overcome fear? So what I've learned is fear will always be there. It's our natural human response to have it there to protect us, to keep us safe. So instead of trying to diminish it and make it go away, I feel like the best thing to do is accept that it will always be there and to become friends with fear, to dance with it, to be afraid and to do things anyway. And that's the way to conquer fear and to develop and become a more confident person. So I found that with fear, it's about taking small steps. It's like a skill that you have to develop to overcome fear in circumstances that are holding you back. So please don't go do anything silly that may be dangerous to you to keep you safe. This is about things that you want to do in life, like opportunities, job opportunities, or going to live in another city where we can let fear hold us back from doing these things. And this is where it's a skills that we build slowly and slowly. So for example, 2 months ago, I went to Costa Rica solo. It was a solo trip. And before I went, I was speaking to my sister and I said to her, this trip is on the other side of the world. I've never been to Costa Rica. I don't know the language. I have no idea what it's going to be like there. And I wish I had a partner to go with, to share this beautiful experiences with. I don't know if I want to do it solo. And we had this discussion and we talked about if I wait for a partner to go with me, to help protect me, to hold my hands, I don't know when my partner, the person who I will connect with in life the most, is going to turn up. It may be in 6 months, it may be in 1 year, it may be in 2 years. The answer is, I don't know. So what am I going to do? Am I going to let this hold me back from taking this trip that I really want to, where I really want to go? The answer is no. I don't want to let fear hold me back, because the fear of not having a partner hold me back from living my life now, because that means I'll be missing out on the opportunity that I may not get to go another time. So I had to accept that this is an experience that I'm going to fear, but I'm going to do it anyway. So before I went, I was so scared. I had so much anxiety, but I went anyway. And honestly, it was the most life-changing experience for me. I met so many amazing people that I wouldn't have met from all different parts of the world, who made me see things in so many different ways. And I wouldn't have had that experience if I chose not to go. And it wasn't all smooth and sailing all the way through. I got unwell a few times, and that's what I feared the most. But I realized that I just needed to listen to my body. I just needed to listen to my body, rest. And then after a day or two of resting, I was fine. I was able to get up and continue with the rest of the trip. I needed to have trust in myself. I needed to have the confidence that I will be fine. So, but it doesn't have to be going to the other side of the world where I did. It could be something as small as standing up for yourself in a work environment. When you know that something is wrong, bringing it to the attention of management, or asking for that job promotion. If there's one thing that I stand by, it's what's the worst thing that can happen in this particular situation? What's the worst thing that can happen in this particular situation? And usually when I want to make a decision about something, this is the question I ask myself. What is the worst thing that can happen in this situation? So I've asked for a job promotion a number of times, and before I went to management, I also felt nervous, and the question kept raising in my head. What if they say no? I'll be humiliated. But then I realized, what is the worst that can happen? So in many cases, you would actually realize what I found is that many of the times the answer has been yes in whatever it is, whoever I'm trying to ask a question. When I want to try ask something out of my comfort zone, we would be surprised when we build up the courage to go after what we want. Life might surprise us with the response. Sometimes there will be a no, but is that the end of the world? No. At least we've had the courage to go and ask. At least we're showing the universe. I know it may sound a little woo-woo, but I believe, we've been taken care of. At least we're showing that we're willing to do our bit and step forward in life to go after the things that we want, because sometimes things are not going to come to you just, sitting back and waiting for things to arrive. We have to do our bit. We have to meet things in the middle. So it could also be going for dinner alone. I know this can be really intimidating, but it could be as small as that. Or if you've never gone to another city alone, or even going for a walk alone, that's something that you're scared of. And you will see when you start doing the small things, it can build up towards the big things. So for example, before I did the big trip to Costa Rica, I was doing smaller trips throughout the past 5 years. So my first solo trip was to Sicily in Europe. I live in the UK, and it was only 3 or 4 hours on the plane. And that was for 4 days to begin with. And I made sure I stayed in a place where there were other people that I could connect with. And that was amazing. And then the following year I went to Greece alone, and I had an amazing time there too. And then another year I went to Croatia. So what I had done was every year I built it up, and each time it was a little scary, I'm not going to lie, but I would remember that I went the previous year and I had so much fun and I was okay. And that's what would encourage me to do it again. So each time I kept building up the skill of not to feel scared and trusting that I will be fine. And then so slowly, last year I went to Mexico, which was a bit more further away. And then this year I went to Costa Rica, and then who knows what next? We can build up our skills to conquer fear. Use it when we need it for dangerous situations to respond. If we're at the edge of a mountain doing a hike, of course we need fear to protect us so that we don't fall. But when in general life, when we want to go after things that is going to progress us, to develop us as a person, we need to control fear and not let it control us. One of the other things that I found that has really helped me is to be mindful about the information that I'm taking in from the news and the internet, which can be flooded with negative news. And we have to remember that the news is also a form of entertainment. It's a business. They want people to be on their platforms for as long as possible. And unfortunately, it seems to be, have a look for yourselves. It seems to be negative news that grabs people's attention. If you look at the ratio of the good news and bad news they have on these platforms, it's mostly really terrifying and bad news. And don't get me wrong, of course, we need to be aware of any kind of natural disasters or things that are happening where people need our support. So we need to be aware of those kind of situations, of course. But we just need to be careful about all the information on there, which is constantly feeding us information so that we live in a state of fear all the time. And I don't think this is healthy for us. It can make us sick. So, for example, my parents are very old and they watch the news all the time. And during the pandemic, it was really sad because my dad, he got so worried. He was watching the news about the pandemic constantly, and this had really affected him. And he went through a stroke, and that was heartbreaking. This is an example of the impact the negative news can have on us human beings if we absorb it too much. Thankfully, he's one of the strongest person that I know. He's doing so much better now and he's recovered. So we need to control the information that we take in, not let it be the other way around. Because otherwise we're going to end up living in a state of fear all the time, and that is not a healthy way to live. It makes us not want to even leave our house, not want to go and visit that country because we're scared about what will happen to us. And for me, this is not a true way of living. This is living in a state of fear and anxiety. And I don't feel like this is healthy. The things that I feared the most and gone ahead and done those things, this is where I have found the most reward in life. This is where I've developed the most. This is where I have overcome challenges, and it made me become more confident. After coming back from my Costa Rica trip, I feel like a different person. I feel like I went through such a big trip alone, and there was challenges that I had to overcome alone as a female solo traveler. So it gave me the confidence that I will be okay. I can take on things where I am now and I will be okay. And it meant I could go and do other things as well. And I feel that living in a state of fear is really and truly not the best way to be living. It's suffering, it's living in anxiety, and it's holding us back. So I encourage you to not let fear hold you back, to go and ask for that job promotion if you feel that you deserve it and that you have the skills to go and do it. Don't be afraid of what people might think. It's more important that we live a life that's true to ourselves than what other people might think, because they're not going to be the ones who's living our life. We have to live with it. Or if you want to go visit that city and you're scared that you're alone and you don't have anyone to go with, think about how much you develop as a person if you conquered that challenge. Life is precious, our time is precious, and life is short. And I know we may have heard this so many times, but when you get to my age, 42, I can assure you, you get a glimpse of the fact that life is actually not so long, and that time seems to go so fast, and the way we use our time, it's the most precious thing at the moment. Well, for me anyway, because I feel like it's so important that we do things that are true to ourselves and not waste doing things that we really don't want to do, or let fear hold us back from going after the thing that we really want to. I hope you've enjoyed this video. I hope this video has encouraged you to see fear differently and not let it hold you back, to go after the things that you really want to go for. Let me know if you've let fear get in the way from what you want to do. I'd love to hear from you. I hope you're all doing really well, and I look forward to seeing you in the next video. Take care. Bye.